I was in my second year of college when I was working at our campus gym. It was a massive gym with multiple levels and every kind of exercise equipment you could think of. It was midday and lots of students were in class, so the gym was only partially crowded. I had a strict routine I followed and always wore headphones and listened to music while I worked out. I did this in hopes that people wouldn't try to talk to me and interrupt my workout. At the time, I was sitting on a bench lifting weights. There were only a handful of other people around me, but I was the only girl in that particular area. I was completely focused on my workout and watching myself in the mirror when all of a sudden a guy came up and stood directly in front of me, blocking my view. He was tall and lanky and was wearing jeans, an odd choice for the gym. At first, I thought he was just passing by me, but he didn't move and just continued to stare at me. Annoyed that he had disrupted me, I took one of my AirPods out of my ear to see what he wanted. Strangely, he didn't say anything, he just looked at me, a weird smile on his face. Can I help you? I asked, feeling a little creeped out. He then told me he was new to the gym and needed help working out because he didn't know how to use the equipment. He wanted to know if I would help him. A little surprised by this odd request, I told him that if he went up to the front desk and spoke to them, that they would get him a trainer. It was free through the university. I started to put my AirPod back in when he started saying, No, I only want you to help me. Getting even more annoyed, I explained to him that I was in the middle of my workout and I needed to finish in time to go to my afternoon class. I then put my AirPod back in and went back to working out, ignoring the guy as well as I could. I could see through the mirror though that he was sitting on a bench nearby, just watching me. I couldn't believe his nerve. Eventually I grew so annoyed that I put the weights away, snatched up my gym bag, and left. That night, I was laying in my bed in my dorm room and scrolling through my phone when all of a sudden I received an Instagram notification. Someone had friend requested me. It was a name I didn't recognize, so I looked through their profile. They had very few posts and not many followers, but I could tell from the profile picture that it was the guy from the gym. I was so confused. How had he found me? I hadn't even told him my name. I wonder if he had asked around about me, but even still, our college was really large and this would have been hard to do. Suddenly, it hit me. I had written my name in Sharpie on my gym bag, so it wouldn't get confused with anyone else's. He must have seen it and then looked me up online. I was creeped out by the effort he had gone to in order to find me, and was still irritated by the fact that he had interrupted my workout, so I blocked his account. I doubted I would see him again. After all, there were so many people at our school, and I went to the gym at different times every day, so it would be hard for him to just stumble into me. Right when I thought I had resolved the problem, I got a Snapchat from a name I didn't recognize. I clicked it open and gasped out loud. It was the guy from the gym. His face was close to the camera and he was in a dark room. "Why did you block me on Instagram?" the message said. It was then that I remembered that my Snapchat username was in my Instagram bio. He must have seen it before I blocked him. I decided to just ignore the Snapchat and hope that he got bored and gave up. But about an hour later, I glanced down at my phone and noticed he had sent yet another Snapchat. I opened it and was shocked to see that it was taken just outside my dorm and the camera was pointed at my window. To my horror, I realized that my Snapchat was showing my location to anyone who added me as a friend. My heart beating fast, I crept to my window and moved back the blinds just an inch so I could see out. I couldn't see anyone, but I knew he could be hiding in the shadows. While I was definitely creeped out, I didn't think I was in danger. You had to have a special key card to get in the door that led up to where the rooms were. You couldn't even access the elevator without it. Plus, the sides of the dorm were separated based on gender. There were only girls on my side of the building, and a resident assistant would surely see him and tell him to leave if he even managed to get that far. The guy sent me another Snapchat and I hesitantly opened it. It was a picture of a painting hung on the wall. It was an overhead photograph of my college campus. I recognized the painting immediately. It was hanging on the wall right where the elevator was located on my floor. He was within a minute walk from me. I had no idea how he managed to break in, but I knew I was in danger. I jumped off my bed and raced to the door to make sure it was locked. I then picked up my futon and a few other heavy items and used them to block my door for extra safety. I then grabbed my purse and dug around until I found my pepper spray, something that I thought until that moment I never would have to use. I held my breath and waited for whatever was about to happen next. A vibration in my pocket let me know I had received another Snapchat. As I was expecting, it was from that guy. I opened it and saw that it was taken just outside my door, my room number visible on a brass plate. As soon as I opened it, I heard a male voice from the hall. The man kept saying my name in a sing-song voice and repeating, "I found you," over and over. He kept telling me to let him in and said he wouldn't go away until I opened the door. My phone already at my side, I quickly dialed 911. When the dispatcher finally picked up, I explained the situation in a hushed voice so the guy wouldn't hear me. I thought that if he knew the police were on the way, he would make a run for it, and I wanted them to catch him as soon as possible. While I was still on the phone with the dispatcher, I began hearing an odd scratching sound at my door. As the doorknob began jiggling, I suddenly realized that he was attempting to pick the lock. At this point, I was terrified and I began shouting at the dispatcher that I needed help right away. Just then, the door burst open and the guy tried to lunge at me. The second he did, I sprayed him directly in the face with the pepper spray. He fell to the floor screaming, and I used this opportunity to run from my room screaming for help as I ran. My resident assistant heard my screams and opened her door. She let me in and locked the door. I explained what had happened and that the police were on their way. Luckily, an army of officers arrived within minutes. The guy was trying to escape from the building but was caught just in time. They arrested him and he was charged with stalking and trespassing. As it turned out, he wasn't even a student at the university. He was just there to prey upon and harass girls. He was banned from the university and had to spend time in prison. I'm still terrified he will find me again someday. My dad passed away when I was really young, so growing up, I lived with just my mom. By the time I was in high school, my older siblings had gone to college, and it was just the two of us living in our house. She worked long hours as a nurse to provide for us, and the only thing she asked of me was to work hard in school and get good grades. We definitely didn't have the money to pay for college, so my only choice to go would be to get a scholarship, just like my older siblings had done. I rode the bus home from school every day, and wouldn't usually see my mom until she got home around 9 p.m. Sometimes I was already asleep by the time she got home. The hours spent after school were always quiet since I would be home alone. On one particular afternoon, I arrived home and used my key to unlock the door and then locked the door behind myself. I sat down my backpack and began pulling my books out to get started on my homework. I always started my homework as soon as I got home so I could get it all over with right away and then have the rest of the evening to relax. I was reviewing my math notes and preparing for a huge test I had the next day. Math was my worst subject, and this test was going to make or break my grade. After about an hour of studying, there was one part I was still not understanding. I ended up FaceTiming my friend. She was much better at math than me and was always open to helping me. After about 20 minutes on FaceTime, I was understanding things better. I thanked her before hanging up. After hanging up, I decided to take a little break and scroll through social media for a while. I noticed I had a notification that someone had added me on Snapchat. The username didn't say what the person's name was. It was just a bunch of random letters and numbers. I assumed it was just a bot, which I would get from time to time. I thought nothing of it and eventually went back to studying. At around 7 p.m., I was done with all the studying and was getting hungry. I decided to make myself some pasta for a quick dinner. I put some noodles in the pot and added an extra portion for my mom to have later. While they were boiling, I was scrolling through my phone and saw that the person who had added me on Snapchat had messaged me. I checked the message and all it said was, "How are you, Anna?" I was surprised that the person knew my name. I figured it was just one of my friends pranking me, so I wrote back, "LOL, who is this?" A short while later, they responded saying, "Your secret admirer." I didn't answer that time, hoping that the person was just going to get bored and leave me alone. After the pasta was done, I placed it in a bowl and was pouring some sauce in when my phone started ringing. The stranger from before was calling me through Snapchat. Confused, I picked it up. A male's deep voice answered, "Hi Anna, see you soon," was all the person said before hanging up. I still figured someone was pranking me at this point and started to get annoyed because they were wasting my time. I turned on the TV and watched my favorite show while I ate dinner. At around 7:30 p.m., I received another Snapchat from an unknown user. I opened it and it was a picture of my street sign. Still, I wasn't overly concerned. I knew several people from school lived in my same neighborhood. Several hours passed by and it was starting to get late. My mom texted me that she had an emergency situation at work and wasn't going to get home until late. She told me not to wait up for her and we could just catch up in the morning. I told her okay and wished her good night as I headed upstairs to get ready for bed. After showering, brushing my teeth, and changing into pajamas, I went downstairs to pack my lunch for the next day and double check that I had everything packed in my backpack that I would need. I cleaned up the kitchen and did some dishes so my mom wouldn't have to when she got home. I then wrote her a note saying that there was dinner for her in the refrigerator. As I did every night, I double checked that all the doors were locked and turned off, all but one of the downstairs lights. I always left one light on so my mom would be able to see when she got home late at night. After I finished, I headed upstairs to go to bed. I opened YouTube on my phone and decided to watch a few videos to help me fall asleep. Right when I was in the middle of my first video, I got 3 back-to-back Snapchats from the unknown number. Not knowing what to expect, I opened the first one. To my shock, it was a picture of my house taken from the outside. It showed the full front of my home and looked to have been taken from someone standing in my front yard. Due to the lack of daylight, it appeared to have been recently taken. For the first time since I had come in contact with this individual, I felt genuinely threatened and scared. Quickly, I clicked on the second Snapchat. I almost stopped breathing when I saw the photo. The picture was taken in my kitchen. I could tell from the furniture and the family photos hanging on the wall that there was no denying it was in my own home. I raced to the window to check for my mom's car just in case she had gotten home early. We didn't have a garage, and if my mom was home, I knew her car would be in the driveway. There was no vehicle parked in the driveway. I grabbed my phone and with my hands shaking, clicked open the third and final Snapchat. It was a picture of the top of the stairs of my own house, just steps away from where my room was located. I was so scared I could barely process this information, but after a 3 to 4 second daze, I jumped up and raced to my door, locking it immediately. I grabbed my phone and dialed 911. Much to my relief, the dispatcher answered almost immediately. In as quiet a voice that I could muster, I explained that I was home alone and that I believed someone had broken into my house. I provided my address and explained to the woman that I had no idea who the person was. All I knew was that they had somehow gotten my information through Snapchat and had been harassing me all afternoon. They told me to stay in my room, be as quiet as possible, and find whatever item I could to defend myself with. I looked all around but saw nothing that would even remotely resemble a weapon. After all, this was the house I shared with my mom. We had never needed a weapon before. My eyes locked on the small stand-up mirror sitting on my desk. I would use it every morning to do my makeup. I picked it up and hit it against the corner of my wooden desk, shattering it. I then grabbed the largest sliver of glass I could find and held it in my palm, preparing to fight anyone that tried to hurt me. The next thing I heard was a light knock at my door. I held the glass up in preparation to stab into whoever was there to hurt me. I closed my eyes and prepared for the impact, but the next thing I heard was someone banging at the front door, hard. I immediately knew it was the police. I heard the sound of running footsteps, the crash of the door being knocked down, and more footsteps running up the steps. The police captured a middle-aged man and took him to prison. They told me that the man had been stalking me for months, and I was lucky to be alive. The incident was so scary that I ended up deleting my Snapchat entirely. When I was in high school, I dated my first ever boyfriend, a guy named Adam. I was very new and inexperienced with dating, so I didn't really know what was normal and what wasn't. Everything in our relationship first started out fine. He was super sweet to me and very patient, but as time went on and I got older, he became more and more possessive of me. He hated when I hung out with other people or did things without him. He even threatened to hurt me if I didn't include him in my plans. Adam was super popular at my school and was well-liked among the teachers. He was especially well-liked by my English teacher, who was also the baseball coach of the team Adam played on. It was for all of these reasons that I put off breaking up with him for a very long time, a time longer than I would like to admit. On the day that I graduated from high school, I finally decided enough was enough. I was ready to be free. After my graduation party had ended and everyone had left, I called up Adam. I told him that I was ready for a fresh start and I wanted to go into college single. He became enraged and began hurling insults at me, promising that I would be sorry if I didn't take him back. I wasn't worried. He had accepted a scholarship to a technical school many hours away from the state school I was planning to go to. There was no way he would be able to find me there. After so many years of feeling like I wasn't in control of my own life, I knew deep down that I was finally free. I blocked Adam on text and on every single social media account I had. I was so excited for a clean start without having to worry about him. The summer before my freshman year of college came and went, and much to my relief, I heard nothing from Adam. When August came around, my parents helped me gather up the items I would need from my dorm, and then eventually helped me move into the building that would become my new home, right in the center of campus. For the first several weeks of college, I was incredibly happy. I loved my classes and my newfound freedom. But Everything changed one day when I got a new Snapchat friend request. I didn't recognize the username, but when I clicked open the message, it was from someone claiming to be Adam. He said he had tried to get in touch with me in every other way and had eventually resorted to making a fake account to communicate with me. He told me that he had figured out which dorm I lived in and was planning on waiting in the lobby until I came down to meet him. He then sent me a snapshot of the grand piano, something that was located right in the lobby of my freshman dormitory. Because I was so scared, I ended up breaking down and telling my roommate everything. When she heard the details of my situation, she convinced me to call 911, which I did. I ended up filing a restraining order against Adam, and he was removed from campus that night. If you would ask me what I learned from this situation, I will tell you several things. Number 1 would be to always trust your gut, and number 2 would be to always ask for help, even if you're embarrassed. It could very well end up saving your life.